So mute all. Welcome everyone. Nice to see some faces this new year. We're going to start in a seated position as we begin to ground. Welcome to ABC Yoga. I'm Amy, my husband Bill in the background, and of course we'll see an occasional cat. So we'll find a comfortable seated position this morning. You always have the option to sit on a brick to lift those hips a little higher than the knees to give them the knees a little bit of a break. But taking your hands in more of a grounding gesture by taking them at your tops of your thighs, or you can bring them at your heart center. As we begin to slow down all of that energy that we've stirred up since we've awakened. So we root those sits bones. Take a full breath in through the nose. Let's just let it go. Two more like that. We breathe in, sipping a little more air all the way to the tops of our shoulders. Open up the mouth, gently let it go. Please take one more inhale. Filling up the lungs, we pause, mouth opens, gentle long exhale. We seal those lips and begin to awaken our senses. So feeling the temperature on our skin, the clothing that is touching our bodies, the ground beneath us, just taking that in. Taste inside the mouth. Noticing the sensations at the nostrils with each inhalation and exhalation. Opening up to the sounds, the grandfather clock in the background, Bill breathing, my voice, the kids getting ready for school, whatever's around you. And then finally, that internal vision as we take some of the stimulation from our external view, that internal landscape, trying to increase, broaden, expand. We'll take one more full breath in together. Let it go. We'll flutter those eyelids open, and we'll start in a standing position this morning at the tops of our mats. So feet are rooted, hands alongside the body. We'll take a slight bend in the knees, forward fold as we interlace the hands behind our back. Shake out that head. Feet are parallel to the floor, and we lift the hands up and over, warming up those shoulders. Let go of the head. We gently shake it out side to side. Breathe in. And just taking more weight into the balls of the feet. And then back into our heels, we lift those toes. And then just, again, rocking that weight backwards and forwards. Let go of the head. Playing that edge, maybe falling over. Just beginning to fire up those hamstrings. Then we'll take that halfway lift. Opposite thumb on top, that navel draws in. Slight bend in those knees, forward fold. Crown of the head towards the floor. And maybe taking those hands a little further up and over, warming up those shoulders, breath by breath. Take another full inhale here. On an exhale, gently come all the way up. We'll release those hands. And then taking your feet the width of your mat, your toes turned out slightly, we'll bend those knees, finding our malasana, our squat. So we'll take our hands at our heart center, and we're going to warm up with 3 squats to standing. So we take a breath in here, let it go, and then inhale, just stand up. Beautiful. Exhale, back into that squat. We'll take 2 more like that. So we inhale, root the feet, we lift. Beautiful. Exhale, descend down, knees just over those toes. We'll take one more inhale. Lengthen. Exhale, come back into that squat. Pause and breathe here. And we'll release that right hand to the inside of the right foot. Extend that left hand. Wiggle the fingers. And just move the wrist in one direction. And we'll change direction. And lower that left hand to the inside of that left foot. Breathe in. Expand. Spread the right fingers. And just open up that wrist. It's okay if those heels are not reaching the ground. Breath by breath, they'll descend a little further. We change direction with that wrist twist. And we'll lower that hand down. And just taking your hands a little further in front of you. Here comes the mountain lion. We're going to step that left leg back so we're in a lizard position. So you can adjust. Let's keep that leg straight first and then straighten, engage those back muscles, lift that left heel, that right knee's coming over the right toes. Just finding that breath here. Our heart is reaching towards the top of the mat. Our hands are straightening we're straightening through the elbows. You always now have that option to drop the knee to the earth. Otherwise, let's everyone just drop the knee down, untuck the toes. And we'll take an inner leg stretch by taking that right hand in the inside of the right knee. Gently draw the knee away from you. Finding that breath. Finding the outer edge of that right foot. One more inhale. On an exhale, let's take a deep bend in that left knee. Option to take the right hand behind and drawing that heel in towards your buns. Our heart is lifted as we reach it up towards the sky. Again, just firing that quadricep on that left leg. One more inhale here. On an exhale, reach the toes away from you, release the leg. You'll take your hands on the inside of at the top of the mat, and we'll just rotate to the front of the mat into Skandasana. So those right toes are flexed. Maybe that left heel is reaching towards the ground. Just enjoy that inner groin stretch. Lifting through the heart, flex those right toes. And finishing that exhalation, we'll just walk our hands back towards the top of the mat. And step that left leg to the right into Malasana again. We bring our hands to our heart center, elbows inside those knees. And we'll take a breathing exercise here in Malasana. So just drawing the forehead to the tips of your fingers. On an inhale, we lift our heart. Exhale, drawing the forehead towards the fingers as you curl in. Inhale, we lift. Two more. Exhale, forehead towards the tips of the fingers. We breathe in. And one more. Exhale the air completely. We lift our hearts, release the hands, and we'll step that right leg back into that lizard position. So the left leg stays exactly where it is. Let's keep a straight leg here, firing through those hamstrings. You're on the ball of that back leg, opening up the arch of the foot, breathing in here, straightening those arms, straightening through those elbows, relax those left toes, maybe lift them up. Beautiful. Then we lower that right knee to the earth, untuck the toes, and just taking some light pressure using that left hand in the inner left knee, gentle pressure, maybe finding that knife's edge of that left foot, steady breathing. Take another inhale here. On an exhale, we'll bend that right knee. You can stay there or take that left hand up and over. We draw those toes in, beginning to spin the chest, eyes up towards that sky. Can you draw that heel in a little closer? Beautiful. One more breath in. On an exhale, we gently release that leg. Take that left hand on the inside of the foot again. We'll step to the side of the mat into Skandasana, the other side. So that right knee comes over the right toes, reflex that left foot. Stay supported here or bringing your hands to your heart center. Bill's modifying in a standing position. Do what feels right for you this morning. Please take one more inhale. We let it go. Release the hands. Walk your hands back towards the top of the mat. And we'll step that right leg up into Malasana one more time. So this time we'll interlace our fingers. Release your pointing fingers. We're going to root our feet. And on an inhale, stand all the way up. Beautiful. Heel toe those feet together and forward fold into Uttanasana. Take your time. Toes pointing at the top of your mat. Let's find that halfway lift. Fingers rest on your shins. We reach our heart forward. Open up those collarbones. Beautiful. Exhale. Crown of the head towards the floor. 3 more like that. We breathe in. We expand. Soften and let go on the exhale. 2 more. Moving with your breath. We soften. Crown of the head towards the floor. Gorgeous. 1 more inhale. Exhale completely. Just find that halfway lift to step into high plank. And then we'll lift our sits bones, downward dog. Eyes towards the back of the mat. So toes turn in just slightly. Let's begin to warm up those calves a little more. So hands are rooted. We'll just lift those heels and take those heels back down. Externally rotate those shoulders. Again, free up that head. 3 more, just lift those heels. And we'll draw those heels back down. 2 more, just pulsing those feet, wakening up the sleeping body. 1 more inhale. We'll draw our heels down. And you can pedal out your feet here in your downward dog. Maybe spin your toes in one direction, dropping those hips. Moving with your breath. Again, listening to your body. I'm going to spin my toes in the opposite direction, drop those the hips down. And we'll come back to center into our downward dog. For these next few breaths, just finding our stillness. Straightening through those elbows. The back of the neck is long. Let's please lift that left leg, that right leg. Bend the knee, flex that right foot. Our chest becomes, when we move it parallel to the floor, let's open up that right ankle. And we'll change direction. Feeling all 10 finger pads rooted to the floor. Now, cutting that left hip back so our chest is more parallel. Can you lift that right knee a little higher? Then we'll come off onto the ball of that left foot and find wild thing. So that right foot just comes to the floor and we expand, lift that chest. So our feet are rooted. That right hand is reaching high. Our heart is lifted. 2 more breaths here. 1 more inhale. On an exhale, we'll find a side plank. So just taking that right foot on top of the left. Right hand is rooted. You can drop that left knee to the earth. Take that right shoulder over the right hand. Beautiful. Now we're going to bend that right knee and reach it all the way to the top into that like lizard-like position again as we come back. Then inhale all the way up into warrior 2. We're not messing around this morning. Going to settle into those hips. Open up the collarbones.
We're messing all kinds of around.
We are. Drag that right knee over the toes. Beautiful. And let's just reverse our flow. So we'll take a full breath in here. Those right ribs fan wide. Back through warrior 2. Take the forearm on the thigh, left arm up and over. 3 more like that. Just moving with our breath. Take your time. We open. Beautiful. Find our way back into 2. And then to Parsva Konasana, left arm reaching high. Back into 2. We sip in that breath, that lower body stays where it is, track that right knee over the ankle. Back into 2, into that beautiful side angle. 1 more. We find our 2. We fan those ribs, find that breath. Back into 2, Konasana. And back into 2, our Vinyasa. Hands to the mat. Take that right leg back, high to low. A cobra or up dog. Downward dog, eyes towards the back of the mat. Just pedal out your feet a few times. On that next inhalation, that left leg lifts. We bend the knee, stacking those hips, and open up that left ankle. Let that head be nice and loose. Again, feeling all 10 finger pads. We cut that right hip back so our chest is more parallel, but lift that left knee a little higher. Change direction with that ankle twist if you haven't already. Our breath is steady. Now we'll lift that right heel and find wild thing. So that left foot comes to the floor. I have a deep bend in that left knee. I straighten that right leg and lift that left hand high. Spread the fingers wide. Just opening up that front body. Let's expand. And then we'll find side angle. So taking that left foot on top of the right, or just drop that knee. Left hand reaching high. Steady breathing. Then that left knee lifts and we step it to the top of the mat, like we're in that lizard position, and then open into our warrior 2. So tracking that knee and sit a little deeper into those hips. So we'll flow on an inhale, we reverse our warrior. Maybe take a gaze at that outer edge of that back foot, back through warrior 2, and then our side angle. Okay, taking the forearm on the thigh, right arm up and over. So 3 more moving with our breath. We find our way through warrior 2 and we reverse. Beautiful, back into 2, forearm on thigh, right arm up and over. We breathe in, we reverse. Back into 2 lines of energy out through those fingers, forearm on thigh. Let's take 1 more. We find our 2, we expand, back into 2, nice work, forearm on thigh, then back into 2 in our Vinyasa. Hands to the mat, that left leg comes back, high to low plank, gorgeous, a cobra or upward dog. We'll meet in downward dog, eyes towards the back of the mat. Steady breathing. Navel in and up towards the spine. On that next breath, that right leg lifts. We bend the knee and stack the hips. And finding our wild thing again, that right foot comes to the floor. We expand, we lift our heart. We're going to add on to that same sequence. We'll take our side angle, so that right foot on top of the left. Stack the left shoulder over the left hand. Now we lift that right knee and step it forward and find our way back into warrior 2. Beautiful. Now reversing on an inhale. We'll come back into warrior 2. Let's go a little deeper this time. Maybe taking the fingers towards the ankle or a brick as that left hand comes up and over. Back into warrior 2. We reverse. Back into 2. Let's go a little deeper. We'll rotate through that 2 more times. We breathe in, we reverse, back into 2, finding that gorgeous side angle. And last one, we reverse, back into warrior 2, we find that side angle. And let's just take our hands back to the floor and find Skandasana again. Those right toes flex. We're breathing. or you're modifying. And we'll just walk our hands to the back of our mats into our crescent lunge. So we inhale, come all the way up. You can take that right knee to the earth, finding that breath. And let's just rotate those shoulders around. Draw those elbows in. We lift and open. Breathing here. Squeeze, lift, expand. One more time, we hug in. We lift and open. And we'll just find that way into crescent lunge. So we'll move that right foot to our left into Utkatasana, into chair. Drop into those hips. Lines of energy out through those fingertips. We're energetically squeezing those knees together, and we'll take those sits bones all the way to the ground. So take your time, breathing in, use that core, come all the way down, and we're ready for boat pose. So shins are parallel.
Well, it's not India this morning.
I know, I had a lot of coffee. Shins are parallel. Extending those hands, finding that breath, breathing in and out through the nose. For 3, for 2, on 1, we cross our ankles and lift. Again, Navasana. Engage that core, support or expand. Toes are spread wide. Firing up that belly. Relax that jaw. We'll cross our ankles and lift. And one more. Breathing in. Expanding. Maybe extending those legs. We cross and lift and cycle through your vinyasa. Stepping back, high to low plank. A cobra or upward dog, downward dog, exhale. So we're turned around here. Stay exactly where you are. Shake out that head. I'm going to spin around so you can see more easily. On an inhale, we'll lift that left leg, bend the knee, stack the hips. So we cut that right hip back as we lift that left knee a little higher. Then coming onto the ball of that right foot, finding wild thing. That left foot comes to the floor. We lift our chest and expand. Breathing in here. Soften through the face. Steady breathing. Please take one more inhale. On an exhale, moving through that side plank. So the left foot just comes on top of the right. You can drop that right knee. Spreading those left fingers wide. And then we'll lift that left knee and step it to the top of the mat. On an inhale, finding our warrior 2. Dropping into those hips. So we'll reverse on an inhale, that left hand reaches high. We come back through warrior 2. Now side angle, go a little deeper. Maybe fingers reach towards the floor, right hand up and over. On an inhale, back to 2, we reverse. And back into warrior 2, finding that side angle, right arm up and over. 2 more like that. Find that breath, expand. We're breathing and finding that gorgeous side angle. Last one. Back into 2, we reverse. We find our warrior 2, that side angle. And back into warrior 2, we'll release our hands and we'll find Skandasana again. So that right knee bends, that left foot flexes. And then we'll walk our hands to the back of the mat into our crescent lunge. So we come all the way up. Beautiful. Now lifting those hands in line with your ears. So we'll reverse the flow with those arms. So we'll take them out to the side. Bring those elbows in, lift and up and over. Breathing. So just move in the opposite direction that you did in the first side. Spreading those toes wide. One last breath in, rotate around, back into Crescent Lunge. Now we'll step that left foot to the right into Utkatasana, to chair position. Nice, we drop those hips, we expand those fingers, squeezing those knees into that center line. Let's slowly lower those sits bones back to the earth. Take your time, breathing in. We'll come all the way down into that boat pose one more time. So supported, expand those hands or extend those toes. So breathing all the way to the belly. Taking your time, relax that jaw. You can always stay supported if you like. You have a bunch of options here. So we'll cross our ankles, we'll lift. And again, coming back into Navasana. Breathing in. Maybe expand, play that edge. All the way to the belly. We cross opposite ankle and lift. 2 more. Audible breathing, Ujjayi, warrior breath. Maybe lift those toes. Gorgeous, we cross opposite ankles and lift. And one last time, stay supported or expand. Firing up that belly. For 3, for 2, we cross our ankles on 1, and then just rotate around into our child's pose. Gorgeous work. Hips are heavy. We drop into our hips. Take those, deep bend in those elbows, and we'll just gently rock that forehead side to side. Lick your lips. Slowing everything down. Feeling those toenails. And breathe right between the space of your toes. Let that belly be nice and soft. Let's walk our hands to the left side of our mat. And taking the right hand on top of the left. Gorgeous stretch on the right side of the body. Relax your face. And we'll walk to the other side of the mat. Left hand on top of the right. And we'll walk our hands back towards the center of the mat. And we'll just move our chest forward into our Sphinx pose. So tops of the toes are rooted on the mat. Our elbows are underneath our shoulders. Open up those collarbones and some gentle head relaxers, openers. So we'll lift our chin up towards the sky and then draw our chin in towards our chest. We breathe in, open up the throat, and we'll gently draw that chin back towards our chest. 2 more like that, feeling whatever's connected with the floor, you're rooting down, chin in. And last time we open up our throat, eyes high, chin towards our chest. Then taking our head level, just look over the left shoulder. Can you see that left heel? Back through center, and you'll take your gaze over the opposite shoulder. Draw your eyes towards the back of the mat. Back to center. 1 more time each side. We gaze over that left shoulder. Back to center, and gaze over that right shoulder. Back to center. Tuck those toes under. We'll take a forearm plank. Breathing in here, navel in and up towards the spine. Let's lift that back body. We have 3 more breaths. Last 2. In on 1, come all the way down, forehead to the mat, and hands behind the back body. So we interlace our fingers. We use a hand towel, a t-shirt, maybe a strap, finding Shalabhasana. So feet are rooted. We just lift our heart. Breathing in, imagine those fingers reaching towards the heels. And on an exhale, lower down, release the hands. Just take the left ear to the floor. Find that breath. And we'll come back to neutral. Take the opposite hand grip. So opposite thumb on top, Shalabhasana again. Just our chest lifts. We expand through the collarbones. We feel those toenails. We lift a little higher, and we'll take the opposite ear down. Beautiful. Release the hands. Right ear down. Let the body soften. We'll come back through neutral. We'll do one more Shalabhasana. So interlace those fingers. Take the non-habitual crossing. We inhale, lift the heart, reach the fingers towards those heels, play that edge, and forehead to the floor, release the hands. Let's come back into that Sphinx. We tuck those toes under. We have another forearm plank. So engage that core, lift that back body. Notice if you're slumping, that navel in and up towards the spine, straightening through those legs. Breathe in for 3. Hug those muscles to the bones on 2. Can you lift that back body 1 more centimeter? Gorgeous. We'll come all the way down. Release those hands, forehead to the floor, and we'll find our floor bow. So we'll bend those knees, reach your hands around, find your ankles. You can use a strap. We squeeze all the air out. On an inhale, just like we did, we lift our chest in Shalabhasana. Now we take the thighs off the mat, point through the toes. So we ride this with our breath, this posture with our breath. We squeeze a little air out. We breathe in and expand. We soften. Add more air. Let a little go. Expand 1 more time. Beautiful. Then let it release. Left ear to the floor. Pause and breathe. So windshield wiper those feet side to side. And we'll take 1 more floor bow. So we'll make this a moving floor bow. So again, same setup, knees bend, reach around for your ankles, use that hand towel, a strap if you can't find the tops of your feet. We squeeze all the air out. On an inhale, we find Shalabhasana with the chest, our heart is lifted. Then we take those thighs off the floor. Looking straight ahead. Let's add a little more air in. Now an option to spin to the right. So I roll onto that right shoulder. I gaze up towards the sky, finding that breath. Face is relaxed. And we'll come back through center. We expand and change direction. So rolling on that left shoulder, stacking those hips, maybe gaze up towards the sky. And we'll come back to center. Last time, lift everything up. Our chest is lifted, our thighs are lifted, toes are pointing. Beautiful, let it all go. Take that right ear to the floor and windshield wiper those feet side to side. We'll allow those legs to come to the floor. Full breath in, gentle sigh, let it go. We'll come back to neutral. We'll find our way into that Sphinx pose again. Toes tuck under, 1 more forearm plank. So we engage those muscles, breathing in here, coming onto the balls of our feet, and we'll lift those sits bones, finding our way into dolphin. So we walk those toes forward, keeping those elbows in line with our shoulders. Shake out that head, the back of the neck lengthens. A gorgeous, gorgeous shoulder opener here. Feeling the finger pads, the forearms, everything rooted into the floor. Now options here, you can come into a balance, maybe pulse your feet or explore taking that right leg up towards the sky. Navel in and up towards that spine. If you reach that right leg high, gently lower it down. Let's inhale that left leg up. And we'll slowly lower it down. And just walk those legs out. And find your way into child's pose. So hips are heavy. Forehead to the floor. Gently rock it side to side. And we'll transition onto our hands and knees. Tuck those toes under. We lift those sits bones. And just walk your hands and feet in towards the center of your mat as we unwind that spine. Head is heavy, the last thing to come up. Tail tucks under. We'll come all the way up to standing Samastitihi, hands at your heart center. Slowing everything down. Let's take a quick body scan. Stacking the bones. Letting go of any holding in the body. Soften those shoulders. Maybe lick your lips. We'll flutter those eyelids open. And we'll find a Bikram version of tree this morning. So let's first just take a lift of that right knee. And you'll take that left hand on the outer edge of that left foot and just find that balance here. And after a few breaths, maybe draw that heel towards the left hip point as that right knee comes towards the earth. Take your time, use the wall if you need to. And an option to bring one hand to your heart. If you can keep the leg where it is, bringing both hands to heart center, and open up those collarbones. Eyes eye level. And let's maybe expand. If you reached your prayer to your heart, or just stay where you are with one hand or supported. Just greeting the day. And we'll bring our prayer to our heart center and just slowly lower that right leg down. And let's just open up that spine between sides. Connect with those kidneys. Let that energy just flow out of the fingers. Gorgeous. We heel toe those feet together and we'll take the other side. Just start by, again, lifting that left knee. You can take your hand on the heel. Just give the body the time to open up. So staying supported, that core is engaged, our heart is lifted. Notice if you start contracting your jaw, can you soften it? And you'll draw that heel to the right hip point. And over time, you just let that left knee release to gravity. So maybe bringing one hand to your heart. You can keep that leg connected, maybe bringing both hands to heart center. We expand through the collarbones, keep those eyes level. Those right toes are spread wide. Stay here or maybe lift the prayer high. If you fall out of it, just come right back. Gorgeous, beautiful work, everyone. And we'll bring our hands to our heart and just let that left leg go. Again, let's twist our spine between sides. And we're all warmed up for our dancer. We've done a lot of floor bow positions. And so let's bring it up to that standing position. So we'll take that right elbow by our right hip as we lift that left hand high. We bend the right knee, reach for the inner arch of the foot. And just stay here for a few breaths, squeezing those knees together, engage that core, and all of the action, we start from the kicking of that right leg, so the toes up into the back of that space. Take a slight play in that left knee, fingers in line with your eyes, reaching and kicking. So maybe that foot comes right over your head. Be content where you are. Maybe pour on a little more energy, kicking and reaching. And then ride that breath all the way up. Release, hands to your heart center. Gorgeous, pause and breathe. Let's just shake that energy out and we'll come to the other side. So exact same setup, left elbow by your left hip, right arm reaches high, we bend the left knee, find the inner arch and hug those knees together. So let's just pause here, finding our balance for a few breaths. So moving always from stability. So we'll start with the kicking action, toes up and towards the back of the room till you hit that edge, then reaching that hand forward. So equally kicking and reaching, taking your time. Noticing that one side may be a little more, I don't want to say better, but a little further than the other side. All of these postures, we're working on finding the balance. Let's pour it on, reaching and kicking. Then we ride that breath up, release the leg, hands to our heart center, Samastitihi. Let's take a full breath in as we melt forward. Find that halfway lift. Step or jump those feet back. High to low plank. Cobra or upward dog. We'll meet in downward dog, eyes towards the back of the mat. So just drop your knees to the ground. We'll cross our ankles and find a seated position. Dhanurasana. So hands in line with your hips, find those sits bones, bend those knees as much as you need to. We'll inhale, reach the arms up high, slight bend in the knees. Let's take a forward fold. So we find our feet, our ankles, our calves, flex those feet. And we'll lift our hearts on an inhale. So like we just did standing, we'll bend that right knee and draw that heel into that elbow crease. So let's rock that hip open as we flex those left toes. And we'll find the heel on the left hip point. So exact same posture, just in the seated position. You can hang on to that foot or reach both hands up and over as we fold over. Reaching for those left toes. Great time to use a strap. Feels modifying with the bent knee. So these forward folds, we massage our internal organs. Great for our digestion. Find that breath on the back body. Please take one more inhale here. Exhale the air out. We inhale, ride that breath up. Now we'll take that right foot outside the left knee. Keep that left leg straight or bend the knee. And we'll just twist around to the right. So the right fingers support you. Let's extend that left hand up towards the sky as we bend the elbow now and take it outside that right knee. We inhale, lift our hearts. We spin over that right shoulder. Gorgeous. That right foot is rooted. Find all four corners of that foot. Again, inhale, expand. Gently twist on the exhale. Two more, we breathe in. And we twist. One more inhale. And we twist. We come back through center, we find that counter twist. And just unfold those legs. Vinyasa again. Hand support right along those hips. Our heart is lifted, rooting. We'll inhale into Paschimottanasana. So a nice long spine, those knees bent. Use a strap. As we breathe into that back body. Shake out that head. On an inhale, we lift our heart back into that gorgeous sitting position. We bend that left knee and take the heel in that right elbow crease. So we wrap those hands around, right toes are flexed. Notice if you're leaning over, you want a beautiful tall spine. That sternum is lifting as we gently rock side to side. And then we'll take that left foot outside the right knee, keeping that bottom leg straight, or just bend that knee and draw that heel in. So we'll just spin around to the left. Left hand supports by that left hip. We'll lift that right hand, spread the fingers, and draw that elbow outside the knee. Gorgeous. On an inhale, we lift. We spin that chest towards the left on the exhale. Inhale, expand, and we twist. 2 more, breath in, and we twist. 1 more inhale, as we twist over that left shoulder. We come back through neutral, take that counter twist, and we'll come back to center, and we'll just modify here by taking a double pigeon. So we'll just start with that left knee on top of the right. Regular pigeon is certainly available, but let's modify with our hands. So I'm interlacing my hands behind the back body, and I'll take my hands to the right side of my body. Find those sits bones as we reach our heart forward. So just opening up the shoulders in a different way. And just lifting our chest, take your hands behind you, and you'll just find them on the opposite side. Sits bones root, and we'll move that chest forward. Back of the neck lengthens. And we'll lift our hearts again. Release your hands, now hanging on to your ankles. Maybe walk those hands a little further, soften those shoulders. And we'll come back to center. My left knee's on top. My left foot will come to the floor, and we're just going to rotate around. If that was confusing, just take your right knee on top of your left. Again, we'll take our hands behind the back bodies. And we'll just start by taking those wrists to the right side. So soften those shoulders down. Find those sits bones and just reach that heart forward. So if this is challenging with your knees, again, regular pigeon is great, or figure 4 on your back. So we'll lift our heart and just take your hands in the other side. Reach your heart forward. Unhinge that jaw. Are you guys breathing? Nice. Now we'll release our hands, take them out in front. Deeper bend in those hip creases. And our heart lifts. Unwind those legs. Let's just shake them out, and we'll come onto our back body. Let's hug those knees in. Wrap your arms around, find those elbows, and bring your forehead towards your knees. Then taking head and shoulders to the floor, we'll keep hold of that right knee and just extend that left leg. And then taking that right knee across the body, extend that right arm. Taking your gaze over that right shoulder. So letting that body relax. Being content wherever that knee is. Maybe it's touching the floor, maybe a brick's underneath it. But you're in control of that lower back release. So take your time. And we'll roll back on our backs, extend that right leg. And that next inhale, we hug that left knee in. We'll draw that knee across the body, the left arm extends. So we draw that knee towards the floor. Taking your gaze over that left shoulder. Beautiful. We'll roll back on our back body, both knees bend. And then we'll take our feet parallel to the floor. We'll take 2 bridges this morning. If you want to go into full wheel, please do. Otherwise, we turn our palms up, toes pointing towards the top of the mat. Energetically squeeze those knees in as we lift our hips and walk those shoulders underneath. Feet are rooted. You can support underneath your hip. And if you want to engage that core a little greater, you can extend that right leg high. Or just stay where you are. Maybe lowering that right leg down, changing sides. Feeling the 4 corners of your feet. Beautiful. On the exhalation, slowly lower that spine down. Walk your feet the width of your mat and just let your knees hug in. We'll take our hands at our belly. And just watching the rising and falling of our hands with our inhalation and our exhalation, sending the breath all the way down. We'll open up our eyes, open up those thighs, feet parallel to the sides of the mat. So one more bridge this morning. So let's exhale all the air out, let the body be soft, and then inhale, lift those hips. We walk our shoulders underneath. Maybe find your ankles with your hands for a little deeper bow position. Please take one more breath in. On an exhale, slowly lower the back body, and we'll find Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of our feet together, hands on our heart center now. Face is soft, breath is steady. And on an inhale, we flutter those eyelids open, take those knees, draw them in. So we'll take one more posture this morning. Options here to just take an inversion with our legs up, just straight up. You can always put a brick underneath you. You can also bring your bottom against the wall, or we'll find an option into our plow position. So we lift our hips, toes come up and over. Melting through that middle back. I'm supporting my lower back. And if you want to turn it into a shoulder stand, we lift our legs, toes reach up towards the sky as you walk your hands down the back body. Very cautious. We do not move our head or neck in this position. Engaging that core. If you're in shoulder stand, you can draw those toes back towards the floor. So taking your time. And we'll squeeze those knees in. If your legs are up the wall or just up towards the sky, you can stay there for a few more breaths. If you're in plow, begin to squeeze those knees in towards your ears. You can release your hands away from the back body as you slowly unwind the spine. If your legs are up the wall, you can bend your knees. And we'll slowly lower those heels to the ground. And one last posture, we'll find our happy baby. So we hug those knees in, finding the inner arches of the feet as we gently rock side to side. And then finding stillness on our back body. You can find a straddle position. Then we'll hug those feet in towards one another and then lowering them to the floor. We have a 2-minute Shavasana. So turning those palms up towards the sky. Just let everything go. And just be. So just watching the body, notice if you want to scratch, get up, turn off the video. Just give yourself these last few breaths. Enjoying the stillness. Stopping from always doing to just being human, human being, not human doing. Just 5 more rhythmic breaths in and out through the nose. Final 2 breaths. Last full inhale. We let it go. Dancing those fingers and toes awake, reach the arms up overhead. And then we draw all that energy in as we hug those knees into our chest and roll onto either side of the body. Pause and breathe. Find that way into a comfortable seated position. Our eyes are soft or closed. So we feel the effects of our practice this morning. Maybe encouraging you to do a little less, be a little less active. If you can just be in the moment a little more. We'll end class with one beautiful Om. So we exhale the air out, full breath in. The light within me honors and recognizes the light within all of you. Make it a great day, and namaste. Thanks, everyone. Great to see you all. Nice to see some faces new this year. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Amy. Thank you.
Nikki, Steph. Thanks.